Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. A story of abuse, power, religion and politics dominating news in India will be in New Delhi. Damn how Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer. We'll have a report on China's attempts to suppress some religions while promoting others. And this moose stops traffic in Canada in Tuesday's Animals Doing Stuff. Well, at the top of the newsfeed, the hashtag Speak Up movement in India. There are a number of cases going through the courts in the country right now, charges brought against men who've raped and murdered young girls. Now, the attempted suicide of a 16-year-old who says she was attacked has lit Indian social media alight and revealed the chasms of difference and distrust in the world's biggest democracy. Now, the pictures you're seeing are of the 16-year-old who tried to kill herself to get authorities to take her case seriously. Now, she alleges she was raped and is given what was once called a perp walk. That's when police walk someone who's accused of a crime in front of the media so we can take pictures. The last thing someone in her emotional state needs. So what's happening in India? Is there a culture of abuse that's tolerated by some? Well, the brutal rape and killing of an 8-year-old in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir was one of the many sparks. That happened back in January, but what caused an outcry on social media was this last week. And politics can't be removed from the reaction to all of this. In the cases we've discussed this morning, the ruling BJP party are all somehow involved, insofar as they're either the accused or members of the party or officials. So what damage could all of this do to Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Well, Nia Punia is in New Delhi with more on this. And Nia, let's just pick up on that of many other things. What kind of damage do you think will be done to Modi by what's happening in India currently?
Kamali, if you believe what the opposition is saying, they believe that Prime Minister Modi's party is going to pay quite dearly for this, especially if you factor in the upcoming elections. 2019 is when Prime Minister Modi is going to be seeking a re-election. And in light of the two cases that have dominated headlines in India, one in Unnao in the state of Uttar Pradesh, where a BJP legislator is the main accused, and you go to Kathua in Jammu and Kashmir, where that 8-year-old girl was brutally raped and killed. Two BJP ministers who've now resigned also spoke out in defense of the accused. So the allegation is that not only is the BJP unable to maintain law and order, it's also unable to maintain and control its own ministers and leaders who either seem to be embroiled in these cases or defending rape accused in other cases.
I mean, as I mentioned, the politics is one side of this, but this has also exposed religious fissures in India. And of course, these are sort of historical cases. These things happened months or maybe even 10 months ago, and they've been brought back to life by the social media reaction. I mean, how are people there, do you think, discussing this openly, if at all?
If you log on to Twitter, Kamali, in India over the last 1 week, I would say, you will see chatter, constant chatter only about these cases, whether it's Kathua, whether it's Unnao, whether it's these demonstrations that have happened across the country, pictures of which we're playing out now, or whether it's the involvement of these ministers. There's very, very significant outrage. People are angry, asking why India is back at this juncture when we saw something similar play out in 2012 when that medical student who was gang raped in a bus in New Delhi. Back then, we had seen similar protests, similarly people taking to the streets asking for better laws. You had amendments brought in, rape laws were made stricter, but yet 6 years on, beg your pardon, we're back right where we started. There seems to be no abatement in the crimes against women, and people are angry, they're frustrated, they're asking how long will this continue in a country that calls itself the fastest growing economy in the world, which has the largest population of youngsters in the world. Why are we still seeing stories and headlines like this every day?
Neera, it does beg the question then, doesn't it, whether these kind of crimes, these kind of incidents in some parts of India are accepted as the norm, and whether or not it's the fact that they're happening more often, or just the fact that people are picking up on them on social media and that we're hearing about them more.
Kamali, I think it's a combination of all the factors you've mentioned. If you speak to the police, they'll tell you that, yes, the numbers seem like they've grown over the last few years, primarily because there's a lot more media attention. They're also saying that people are now more willing to come out and speak and report such instances, report such crimes as well. So that could be one factor. But like you said, there are also areas and parts of the country where these crimes seem par for the course. And primarily the problem there also is how the police, how the administration, how officials handle it. There was a report published by Amnesty and Human Rights Watch, and this was about a few months ago, where they said that a rape victim in India still faces harassment even while she's reporting the crime. So we're facing a problem that doesn't just stem from the fact that these crimes are being committed. It's also how society is looking at these crimes, how there's still stigma associated with someone being called a rape victim and not a rape survivor. So these are, structural societal problems. We need changes in mindsets, not only changes in laws.
Absolutely. Okay, Neil, you'll keep across this story for us, and we'll be back to speak to you later in the week. Thank you. All right, let's look at what else is trending on social media.
100 happy Jamaicans. They've come to seek work in Britain and are ready and willing to do any kind of job that will help the motherland along the road to prosperity. They're all full of hope for the future, so let's make them very welcome as they begin their new life over here.
Well, they're called the Windrush generation, and they went to Britain from the Caribbean from 1948 onwards, asked by the British government to help fill a labour force that was decimated by war. Now, when they arrived, they faced hostility and prejudice, but persevered and helped make Britain what it is today. My own grandparents came to the UK from Jamaica in the 50s. But a change to Home Office rules meant that many of those original migrants faced deportation, as they could not prove they had the right to remain in the UK. After a campaign online and in the newspapers, the British government says that Commonwealth-born long-term residents will not be kicked out of the country after all. And the Prime Minister has personally apologised to all those who were affected by the uncertainty. Journalists from the New York Times and the New Yorker magazine have been awarded the Pulitzer Prize for their expose of Harvey Weinstein. Their articles telling the story of women abused by the Hollywood mogul won the prize for public service. The strength of those who came forward then spurred the #MeToo movement. And Sean Hannity, who works for Fox News and is an unofficial advisor to President Trump, has been revealed to share the same lawyer, Michael Cohen. The news came out of court proceedings in New York. Now, Hannity had not previously admitted to having Cohen as an attorney. Well, back to the Pulitzers and their awards for journalism, books and music that cast a new perspective on American culture. But one winner in particular has caused surprise online.
Loyalty got royalty inside my DNA. Cocaine quarter piece got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I got hustle, though, ambition, flow inside my DNA. I was born like this, and born like this, immaculate conception.
Well, Kendrick Lamar has won the Pulitzer Prize for music for the album Damn. The track you're hearing right now is called DNA. Now, it's the first time a rapper has won the award, the first time a musician who doesn't make classical or jazz has won the award. Last time King Kenny was up for an award, it was a Grammy, and he lost that to Bruno Mars. And the Pulitzer board said they acknowledge Kendrick as a big moment for hip-hop and for the prize itself.
Yeah, that's him again. The sound that engine in is like a bird. You see fireworks and Corvette tire skirt the boulevard. I know how you work. I know just who you are. See, use it.
And here are a couple of tweets in reaction to the news. Clint Smith says Beyonce had Coachella renamed after her, Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer, and Black Panther has made more money than Titanic. It's Black History Month, every day, every year, all the time. And at Pixelated Boat says, congratulations to Kendrick Lamar on causing 500 monocles to pop out simultaneously. Now, China is a one-party socialist state run by the Communist Party, and there are some 67 million Christians living there. Well, Tamina has been looking at how faith and politics intersect.
Why are Bibles disappearing from online bookstores in China? They've reportedly been removed in what seems to be a further crackdown on religion. In 2030, China is predicted to have the world's biggest Christian population, and there are an estimated 100 million Christians. That's way more than the communists, and that's a threat to China's atheist communist government. Ironically, China is the world's largest producer of Bibles. Chinese authorities have previously targeted Christians in provinces like Zhejiang and torn down crosses and demolished churches. Christians have even been asked to replace pictures in their homes of Jesus Christ with pictures of Xi Jinping. Church leaders and their followers have been arrested and imprisoned. This is pretty similar to the Uyghur situation in Xinjiang province. China has persecuted the minority Muslim group for years, controlling their public displays of Islam, tearing down mosques, arresting them and collecting their DNA. While all this is going on, China is negotiating with the Vatican over who can appoint bishops. If this happens, it will end the almost 70-year split between underground and government-run Catholic churches. And while China is cracking down on Christianity and Islam, it's pushing for favourable religions like Buddhism, claiming it's important to maintain the culture and spiritual life of the Chinese people. So will it really be able to stop the growth of Christianity and Islam?
All right, let's take you around the world for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. Scientists have developed an enzyme that can eat plastic and hope it'll be useful in dealing with the things you're looking at now, the piles and piles of waste humans leave all around the world. A naturally occurring bacteria was discovered by scientists in Japan that can break down the molecular bonds of polyethylene terephthalate. Scientists say they tweaked that enzyme to see how it would evolve and accidentally made it better at breaking down plastics. Well, it's taken long enough, but Twitter have finally changed their pistol emoji from a real gun to a fake one. The change has long been called for, and the Twimoji Update 2.6 will look like this. Twitter are following similar moves by Apple, Samsung, and WhatsApp. Now, the people who brought us Power Rangers say their new special show will be dedicated to mums and feature 3 women who were in some of the original shows. Hero Mama League will be available online on the 13th of May. That's Mother's Day in Japan. Well, let us take you to South Korea now, and I want to show you a weird underground club scene that's dominated by ravers for whom age ain't nothing but a number. Meanwhile, in Canada, this is happening.
Is that a moose? That's a horse or a donkey.
It's a moose.
It's a gale moose.
He'd be standing here right now. Thank you note to those who helped him in his life.
Dad, you got
Well, in answer to the kids' question, it's neither a horse nor a donkey and is in fact a moose. I'm told by our resident Canadians that moose are not to be messed with, hence the reason why this driver has given way. promise a better animal story for you tomorrow. That's all from the NewsFeed team. Do reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. We're 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.